Welcome to Wonderful Wednesday. I'm in my backyard today because it's such a beautiful morning. The birds are chirping, and I already had my cup of coffee. I have my second new pair of glasses. What do you guys think of these? Digging these. I'm such a glasses person now. And you all know I need them. Remember how I was totally fighting it? I'm all in now. Need the reading glasses. Okay, so first of all, super loving watching my class year Flipgrid responses to the Would You Rather. You're cracking me up. Keep them coming. We got 18 responses. We're going to go for full 31. We can do this. Also, what else I have to say? Tomorrow, I will be meeting with Miss Nogdave's class for social studies for lesson 3. I've already uploaded the lesson 4 social studies video. If you search under, you go to videos and then there's uploads and then there's live. You got to click on live and it'll have it on there. So you can do that anytime between now and Friday and start making your flashcards, getting ready for the test, which will be next Wednesday. Next Wednesday will be Chapter 7 Social Studies test. All right, so for today, we're going to be doing Chapter 3 in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. As we left off, Lucy went into the wardrobe, found Narnia, met Mr. Tumnus. He starts blubbering, freaking out that he's such a bad fawn, that he was going to kidnap her, take her to the White Witch, but he has a change of heart, decides to risk his own life and maybe turned into a statue and have his horns cut off and his tail cut off, and rushes her back to the lamppost. Lucy rushes back through the wardrobe, has just said, "Hey guys, I'm back," and we take over from there. So the magic continues. The wardrobe is a very mysterious thing, I have to say. And to be honest, I don't even quite understand how the magic of the wardrobe works, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it takes you to Narnia, sometimes it doesn't. It's quite confusing, but mysterious at the same time. All right, Chapter 3, Edmund and the Wardrobe. Now, Edmund is the brother who's next youngest above Lucy. So it's Lucy, Edmund, Susan, Peter. And Edmund's kind of cranky, feels like the world's against him, like kind of complains all the time. So that's what you get out of Edmund. Lucy ran out of the empty room into the passage and found the other three. "It's all right," she repeated. "I've come back." "What on earth are you talking about, Lucy?" asked Susan. "Why," said Lucy in amazement, "haven't you all been wondering where I was?" "So you've been hiding, have you?" said Peter. "Poor old Lou, hiding and nobody noticed. You'll have to hide longer than that if you want people to start looking for you." "But I've been away for hours and hours and hours," said Lucy. The others all stared at one another. "Batty," said Edmund, tapping his head. "Quite batty." "What do you mean, Lou?" asked Peter. "What I said," answered Lucy. "It was just after breakfast when I went into the wardrobe, and I've been away for hours and hours and hours, and I had tea, and all sorts of wonderful things have happened." "Don't be silly, Lucy," said Susan. "We've only just come out of that room a moment ago, and you were there then." "Well, she's not being silly at all," said Peter. "She's just making up a story for fun, aren't you, Lou? And why shouldn't she?" "No, Peter, I'm not," she said. It's a magic wardrobe. There's a wood inside of it, and it's snowing, and there's a fawn and a witch, and it's called Narnia. Come and see." The others did not know what to think, but Lucy was so excited that they all went back with her into the room. She rushed ahead of them, flung open the door of the wardrobe, and cried, "Now, go in. Go see yourselves." "Why, you goose," said Susan, patting her head inside, putting her head inside and pulling the fur coats apart. "It's just an ordinary wardrobe. Look, there's the back of it right there." Then everyone looked in, pulled the coats apart, and all they saw, Lucy herself saw it too, a perfectly ordinary wardrobe. There was no wood, there was no snow, only the back of the wardrobe with hooks on it. Peter went in and rapped his knuckles on it to make sure it was solid. "Jolly good hoax, Lou," he said as he came out again. "You've really taken us in. I must admit, I actually half believed you." "But it wasn't a hoax at all," said Lucy. "Really and truly, it was all different a moment ago. Honestly, it was, I promise." "Come on, Lou," said Peter. "That's going a bit far. You've had your little joke. Haven't you better drop it now?" Lucy grew very red in the face, and she tried to say something, though she hardly knew what it was she was trying to say, so she just burst into tears. For the next few days, she was very miserable. She could have made it up with the others quite easily at any moment if she could have brought herself to say that the whole thing was only a story made up for fun. But Lucy was a very truthful girl, and she knew that she was really in the right, and she could not bring herself to say this. The others, who thought she was telling a lie, and a silly lie too, made her very unhappy. The two elder ones did this without meaning to do it, but Edmund could be spiteful, and on this occasion he was spiteful. He sneered and he jeered at Lucy and kept on asking her, "Have you found any more new countries and other cupboards in the house?" What made it worse was that these days ought to have been delightful. The weather was fine, and they were out of doors from morning till night, bathing, fishing, climbing trees, and lying in the heather. But Lucy could not properly enjoy any of it, and so things went on until the next wet day. So the next rainy day. That day, when it came to the afternoon and there was still no sign of a break in the weather, they decided to play hide and seek. Susan was it. Sorry, airplanes flying over. Hello, Mr. Airplane. Good morning. Oh no, it's a helicopter. Goodbye, helicopter. Susan was it, and as soon as the others scattered to hide, Lucy went to the room where the wardrobe was. She did not mean to hide in the wardrobe because she knew that that would only set the others talking again about the whole Richard business. But she did want to have one more look inside of it, for by this time she was beginning to wonder, look into the wardrobe and then hide somewhere else. But as soon as she reached it, she heard Edmund, and he came into the room just in time to see Lucy vanishing into the wardrobe. He at once decided to get into it himself, not because he thought it was a particularly good place to hide, but because he wanted to go on teasing her about her imaginary country. He opened the door. There were coats hanging up as usual, and a smell of mothballs and darkness and silence, and no sign of Lucy. "She thinks I'm Susan coming to catch her," said Edmund to himself, "and so she's keeping very quiet in the back." So he jumped in and he shut the door, forgetting what a foolish thing this was to do. Then he began feeling about for Lucy in the dark. He had expected. So think about it. If you go into a closet, all you have to do is reach your hands out, and in a second, you can kind of feel around. He decided to open the door again and let in some light, but he could not find the door either. He didn't like this at all, and he began groping wildly in every direction. He even shouted, "Lucy, are you? I know you're here." There was no answer, and Edmund noticed that his own voice had a curious sound. Not the sound you expect in a cupboard, but the kind of an open air sound. He also noticed that he was unexpectedly cold. And then he saw a light. "Thank goodness," said Edmund. "The door must have swung open on its own accord." He forgot all about Lucy, and he went towards the light, which he thought was the open door of the wardrobe. But instead of finding himself stepping out into the spare bedroom, he found himself stepping out into the shadow of some thick, dark fir trees into an open place in the middle of the woods. There was a crisp, dry snow under his feet and more snow lying on the branches of the trees. Overhead, there was a pale blue sky, the sort of sky one sees on a fine winter day in the morning, and straight ahead of him he saw between the tree trunks the sun just rising, very red and clear. Everything was perfectly still, as if he were in that country. There was not even a robin or a squirrel among the trees, and the woods stretched as far as he could see in every direction. He shivered. He now remembered that he had been looking for Lucy, and also how unpleasant he had been to her about her imaginary country, which now turned out to be not imaginary at all. He thought that she must be somewhere quite close, and so he shouted, "Lucy, Lucy, I'm here too. It's Edmund." No answer. "She's angry about all the things I've been saying lately," thought Edmund. And though he did not like to admit that he had been wrong, he also did not much like being alone in this strange, cold, quiet place. So he shouted again, "Lou, I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I see you were right all along. Do come out. Make it Pax." And make it Pax means let's make peace on this. Let's, forgive each other. Still, no answer. "Ugh, just like a girl," said Edmund to himself, sulking somewhere, "and won't accept my apology." He looked around him again and decided he did not much like this place, and had almost made up his mind to go home when he heard very far off in the wood a sound of bells. He listened, and the sound came nearer and nearer, and at last there swept into sight a sledge, which is like a sleigh, a sledge drawn by 2 reindeer. The reindeer were about the size of Shetland ponies, and their hair was so white that even the snow hardly looked white compared to them. Their branching horns were gilded, so they had golden horns, were gilded and shone like something on fire when the sunrise caught them. Their harness was of scarlet leather, and on the sledge, driving the reindeer, sat a fat dwarf, 3 feet high, if he had been standing. He was dressed in polar bear fur. His huge beard covered his knees and served him instead of a rug. But behind him, on a much higher seat in the middle of the sledge, sat a very different person, a great lady, taller than any woman that Edmund had ever seen. She also was covered in white fur up to her throat, and she held a long, straight golden wand in her right hand and wore a golden crown on her head, but proud and cold and stern. The sledge was a fine sight as it came sweeping towards Edmund with the bells jingling, and the dwarf, "Up!" said the lady, and the dwarf pulled the reindeer up so sharp that they almost sat down. Then they recovered themselves and stood chomping their bits and blowing, and in the frosty air, the breath coming out of their nostrils looked like smoke. "And what, pray, are you?" said the lady, looking hard at Edmund. My name's Edmund," Edmund said rather awkwardly. He did not like the way that she was looking at him. So since I always want to show my colored pictures, so there's the witch, there's the dwarf, and there's Edmund looking very uncomfortable. The lady frowned. "Is that how you address a queen?" she asked, looking sterner than ever. "Oh, I beg your pardon, your majesty. I didn't know," said Edmund. "Not know the Queen of Narnia?" cried her. "Ha! You shall know us better hereafter, but I repeat, what are you?" "Please, your majesty," said Edmund, "I don't know what you mean. I'm at school. At least I was, but it's the holidays now." All right, so chapter 4 is called Turkish Delight. Now, a couple things I wanted to point out about this chapter. I really felt bad for Lucy when she was telling the truth. And obviously, it's hard to believe that she went into a magical wardrobe and met a fawn. But I think we all can relate. I remember times when I was telling the truth and nobody believed me, especially when it was my family or my mom, or she believed my brother when I was actually telling the truth. So I think we all can kind of empathize with that and know how that feeling is of like, but I am telling the truth, and you just cry because you're so frustrated. So that was Lucy. And now Edmund has been in the wardrobe. He has met the White Witch. Question is Edmund going to fess up and say, "Oh, Lucy was right and I was wrong"? Or is he going to continue being stubborn Sally and being like, whatever, pouty? So interesting where we leave off. So we have the witch not being particularly nice. We've heard from the fawn that she's not nice, but that's one perspective. Maybe there's another perspective. So the question is, what is she going to do with Edmund? Are they just going to have a conversation and off he goes? Is he going to get inside that sledge with her? Humans really either. So she's kind of like, what are you? So she hasn't mentioned anything about daughter of Eve or son of Adam. But remember, daughter of Eve is a female human, according to people in Narnia. And so they don't know girl and boy. They just know those two terms. So it'll come up a lot in the story. All right. And Turkish Delight is interesting. We're going to be introduced to Turkish Delight. And actually, Turkish Delight is a real treat. It's like I think it's believed from Turkey. It's something you can buy today. And usually when we're in the classroom, something totally different, has like magical powers. So we'll find out about that tomorrow. Don't forget to do your packet. Lesson 3, let's take a quick look at it, see what we got going on. Skipped 3, went right to 4. 3, there we go. All right, so you may pick any 3 vocabulary words, any 3. You've got a couple open-ended questions, continuing open-ended questions. What do you think the queen looked like? Illustrate her in the space below. Now, we have some information in your book of kind of what she looks like, but I'd like you to add some color, put some mean-looking face. You might want to draw her sledge. Again, I'm not being mean by having you do all this. This is helping the information stick. So by writing and drawing, it helps the information stick. And then I love this quick write. Where do you think Lucy went when she entered Narnia for the second time? And what do you think she did when she got there? So we can't find her anywhere. He doesn't know where she is. He knows that she went in. So where do you guys think she is? And what do you think she's doing? Right? And there's a couple true or false. And what's interesting about these true or false, which I like because it makes you think, read it, write true or false. And if it's false, you're going to cross out parts and rewrite to make it true. So for example, if it said, Miss Cummins is a 5th grade teacher, true or false? False, obviously. And to make it true, you would cross out 5th grade and you would write 4th grade above it. And then now it becomes true, right? All right. Enjoy your wonderful Wednesday. Again, don't forget my class to do your Flipgrid video if you haven't done it yet. The link was sent to your parents in an email. Also, lesson 4, social studies. If you're in Miss Nogdaves, you've already done lesson 3, so you're welcome to do lesson 4. That video is up on my page as well. Again, look under videos. Don't look under uploads, but look under live, and it should be the first one on live. All right. Have a great Wednesday. Talk to you later. Bye.